Hello, everybody. Hi.
Hi.
My name is Michael Govier. That's Leanne. Hello. And we are together, the First Day Pod. First Day Pod, First Day Pod on Twitter and Instagram. You've heard this before. If you've never heard it before, you can follow us anywhere at First Day Pod. It's very, very easy. Right, Leanne?
Yes, very easy. And they
Yay!
can email us at the same one, just
No,
gmail.com.
no, no. Let's not confuse people. It's just
Oh, no confusion. Just DM
firstdaypod at
us.
gmail.com. Very easy. You have PMS?
What's happening?
You said you had PMS.
What? No, I didn't.
What'd you just say? Why you do that? Don't itch that. Stop that. Honey, I'm just trying to help. I'm trying to help you.
I said, oh gosh, I don't even know what I said. Okay, people. I think this is going to be a funny show because, well, it's not going to be funny. I mean, the topic is very serious.
Yeah.
But both
Hey,
of us
what's up
are a
with our
little bit out of
background?
it.
Why is it black, by the way?
I don't know.
Why do we have a black
To match our
background?
shirts?
What about this? That
Nope.
one?
Nope.
This
Nope. No. No.
one? Oh, wait. Hold on. I know what to do. I'll get there. Anyways,
Hi,
Leanne,
guys.
what are we going to talk about today? What's going on?
So Friday was suicide. Is it suicide awareness or suicide prevention awareness? I can't remember what it was actually called.
Either way, the sentiment holds true.
Yeah, because I just found out that September is suicide awareness month. I
Yes.
wasn't aware of that. So we thought it would be good for us to kind of talk about that this weekend or this week. Being a mental health podcast, it's so important. And I did like a little bit of research just to see what stats are like in Canada. Obviously they're higher probably in the States because you guys
Why?
have way more people.
No.
Pardon?
I mean, yeah, but what about per capita?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't do the per capita. I didn't do the whatever. I just did per Canada.
That's funny, honey.
um,
I'm excited about this topic because
Yeah.
it's an important one. We got to talk about suicide. We got to realize it's out there. Everybody's had feelings at times where they feel like they're not worth it. If you haven't had that, you're an incredibly rare human being, and I don't know if you exist or not. Oh, hey, what's up, Davos? He says we hear
Hey.
echo of Lee's voice. I'm not hearing an echo. Anybody else hear that echo? Because sound good to me. It might be your computer, Davos. I hope not. Either way, glad to have you here.
Ask Ed.
Ed's here. Ed says hello, and Josh says vets 22 a day.
Oh God.
Suicide. Yes. Suicide is very high with veterans of the armed forces in the United States. It's a job that creates a lot of pain, physical and mental. And, I just feel bad because that job exists in the first place. Like a violent job where people are put to the test and they have to kill people if they're in war or if they're in battles. It's just bums me out that it exists. But the mental pain and anguish, PTSD, the first thing most people probably think of when they hear PTSD, you think of military vets, most likely, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That's all
anybody
I
can
thought
have
it
it.
was.
Yeah, right. Because that's like the most traumatic events happen in these ridiculous and actual true life experiences where people shoot each other, or they're hand to hand combat where you have to kill someone to survive. Imagine the absolute. It's glorified in the United States. It's glorified in video games and movies like Die Hard or any action movie, Rambo, all these action movies that were created over the decades glorified violence. And they're made out to be heroes, and people look up to them like, oh, look how cool that is. Or, wow, look how cool it was the way they killed that guy. That was awesome. Remember when Rambo stabbed that guy in the eye? It's like, that stuff really happens to people, and they have to live with it. Then it's not fun at all.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way out sometimes for them is suicide. People say it's a coward's way out, which is just so ridiculous. That is so dated, antiquated. Don't say that about suicide, please.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way to relieve the pain. 9/11 was yesterday, and people had to choose jump out of a 110-story building or burn to death up there because there was fires from the jet crashing into the towers. And people made a choice, but that was the choice they were faced with. So that's what suicide is like. It's like, I'm so uncomfortable. I'm in so much agony and so much pain. The only way out is for me to end my existence, and then I'll finally have peace. That's what happens. And we don't look at the people in 9/11 who jumped out of the buildings like, why would they do that? We don't look at it like that at all. It's the same thing. It's just happening all in here, inside the mind.
Wow, that's a great comparison. That's exactly what it is. Wow. Mm-hmm.
So, I don't claim to say I've never had those feelings, because I just said if you haven't had those feelings at some point of worthlessness, or you felt you just couldn't go on anymore for whatever the reason was, I know we're all out there. The suicidal ideation, which is having thoughts of ending your own life, it's pretty common. It really is. So I think it's important that we discuss these things and we be open and honest about it, Leanne. That's what I think. And Josh says, with the kids, with off it's
Because the kids.
Often it's the kids and women and civilians that weigh on many. I think what Josh tried to say there is that, the children and the women that get killed, or the civilians that die in battle, it weighs heavily on the people who are not involved in the battle, who are innocents, supposedly. I think. That's
Oh
what
my
Josh is trying to
gosh,
say.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the it's interesting because a lot of the time you hear that when people are getting to that point, they're doing it because they think it's the best for everybody. Nobody deserves to have to live with me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing this as a favor to my family, and so they don't have to put up with me anymore. So they don't have to see me struggle. So they don't have to. And so when we have this, and the numbers of the suicide that happens is alarming, but then the what they say is there's a 7 to 10 people that are then directly, majorly affected by each suicide. And that's probably a low number, actually. But if you think about it, it's your close family, it's your close friends that are every single day now that is a part of them. So the numbers are just, it affects all of us. Like you said, the thoughts affect all of us, but then the actual acts affect all of us.
So what are the numbers like in Canada? Tell us.
Gosh, Leanne. Oh my Lord. Okay. So yeah, the numbers are, they say that each day approximately 11 people die in Canada of suicide. So that's 4,000 people a year. It's one of the leading causes of death in Canada. For every death, there's an estimated 20 to 25 attempts. There's an average of 275 people that attempt suicide in Canada every single day. And then they've got the 7 to 10 people that are affected. So if you think about it that way, it's 40,000 people a year that are directly, permanently affected by every loss of suicide. So now, like, that's not even the compounded. How many people are living right now that are directly affected and permanently affected? If you think about that, 4,000 people this year will die of suicide. And then 10 people of every 40,000 or 4,000, there's 40,000 people that are directly affected just this year, not to mention everybody that died last year and that were affected and still here. They're still here this year. So it's just, these numbers are huge and they just keep growing. And the more you think about it, everybody is affected. I have a girlfriend that, we went to high school together. So I haven't really seen her since high school. So you see her on Facebook, and right now we're 40. So we're watching our friends have families, and we're watching our friends' families grow. And even from high school, it's, you know, like even though we don't see each other, we don't hang out, you still like have that. And she had a child when she graduated high school. And so he's 24, I believe. I think he's 24, 23. And he passed away a month ago, maybe, of suicide. So she's our age and has a child that is now gone. And that will never change. Like, so now that's the rest of her life, and the rest of the families. And it's so, so sad. They said that suicide in Canada accounts for 24% of all deaths among 15 to 24-year-olds living in Canada. A quarter of all the deaths.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, that's surprising, really. Unfortunately.
Anyway. So,
what?
Go ahead.
What'd you say? It's what?
It's awful. It's just awful. It's so, and the more that you look at it, and I think that's the problem, is that people aren't looking at it. That's the issue, is that they're not looking at it. They're going on with their day, and it's fine. We're all busy. We all have our life to live. We're just ignoring it, and people aren't talking about it. And so that's why people are feeling alone. That's why people are feeling like they're the only ones, because nobody is talking about it.
Ooh, great point. Great point. That is very true. People don't talk about it, and they're afraid and terrified because they don't hear other people saying something about it. And so they think they're the weirdos. That's a great point.
Yeah. So, and that's why when people are like, oh, well, we don't need to talk about it, because it's like, that's not a fun conversation. That's not a nice conversation. What can we change by talking about it? We can't change anything. People are going to do what they're going to do. People are going to think what they're going to think. That's wrong. The more that we talk about it, the more people understand. It's just like with any illness. We're talking about, you can talk about cancer. Back, 20 years ago, you didn't talk about cancer. Like, my grandmother passed away of cancer. She didn't want to talk about it because it was very private, and you don't talk about it. Now, everybody's sharing their story about cancer, because now you're able to get things checked quicker. Crohn's and colitis, you're able to get things checked quicker because people are talking about it. So you know the signs, you know the symptoms. If you're not talking about it, you don't know those things. So it's the same thing with this, with mental health, with suicide. The more that we can talk about it, it's not to normalize it. It's not to make it okay. It's not okay. What's wrong is the fact that we're not talking about it. That's the problem.
Yep. That's very true. How about Ed? Ed's checking in. Hi, Ed.
Hi, Ed.
Ed says, one of the most disturbing things I saw was a military person in a hospital for PTSD treatment. A person knocked on his door to wake him up. He felt he was on the battlefield, and he put the person in a chokehold. Yep, exactly. Instantly go there right away.
Right.
Triggered. How he was trained to be a weapon. I was totally shocked. Yeah. That must have been quite the experience to witness that in real time. Josh says, many vets are trained to keep it to yourself and handle issues in silence. Yeah, that's a male culture thing, too. A lot of men, American men, unfortunately, are trained that way. And a lot of vets are American men. Not all of them, but many are. And especially in that macho culture. I mean, there's been a lot of changes in the military over the last 25 to 30 years. The United States military, we had the homosexuals now are welcomed into the military. It wasn't always that way. The stupid don't ask, don't tell thing. And then women, women weren't allowed to be certain combatants in select arenas of the armed forces. And now we have more equality, and we're having a more balanced representation. But it doesn't matter if you're a man, a woman, gay, straight, from the East Coast, from the West Coast, from Louisiana to Alaska, PTSD will affect everyone the same. Because they're all human beings. Mm-hmm. Right, Leanne?
Exactly.
What about Davos? Davos, good to see you. Thanks for showing up. Davos is our dedicated Twitch viewer. We love it. He's our Twitch buddy.
Hey.
If a person who was depressed and suicidal suddenly seems to feel better and has no recent attempt of suicide, does this mean they are no longer at risk for suicide?
Are they still human? Because if they're still human, then unfortunately they're still at risk. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a mental health practitioner, I'm not in anything, but the fact of the matter is life changes, responsibilities come on, we don't know how to handle stuff. So even people that have never really felt that, it's not to like put like a poo poo on this, but even if you've had up until this point that you've never really felt it, you don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of years, that something could happen and you don't know how to handle it and you start having issues. And this keeping this quiet is a very big thing. So I think you're always kind of at risk if you're not talking and you're not being honest with your health practitioner about everything.
Danielle's here. Danielle, we love Danielle. Hi, Danielle. We love you. Danielle's the best. Danielle was on this show many moons ago. Now, by the way, we've been doing our Flashback Fridays. We put out an old episode every Friday on our podcast feed that you can listen to again, just in case you missed it or never heard it before. So that's only on the podcast feed, not on the YouTube channel, okay? Just want to let you know, but it's a way for you to catch up on a possible old conversation you missed. We've had a lot of conversations, haven't we, Leanne?
Yes, they've been so good. And yes, you can scroll back, but nobody scrolls back to go see. So that's why we're doing that.
Oh, come on. It depends what kind of mood you're in.
Oh,
anyways, but Danielle talked about her own suicide prevention plan she had in place for herself. It was a very honest and authentic conversation. I think you should go check that out. Episode 51 and episode 13 both feature Danielle. 51 and 13. And she's also funny as hell and has a great heart. Yeah. Josh says, I had a vet buddy who attempted without knowing anyone.
Without anyone knowing.
Had a vet buddy who attempted without anyone knowing. I can't read today. At last second, someone was able to save him. Wow, that's very, very close. That's, see, sometimes it's too late. You don't know till it's too late. Or worse, you catch them after they've carried out the act. It could be really, that could give you PTSD. It's awful. Mm-hmm. Ed says, I think that anyone could have PTSD. Trauma can come in so many different forms. I was a victim of years of childhood sexual abuse for 6 years. I was in my mid-40s when I was diagnosed with PTSD. Yes, Ed, we know Ed, so we're a little more familiar with the story. But for those of you that don't know Ed is being very open and honest about his past, his struggle. He's had his own challenges with suicide personally. And we're really, really glad that Ed is still on this planet, on this plane of existence with us today, Ed. We really are. Mm-hmm. So, Ed is a great resource. If anybody has any questions, I bet, you can reach out to Ed. Ed Wasef, here's his name again, if you can see it live. You can contact him on Facebook or other means, I'm sure. Ed loves to field questions and connect with people. He's a really good dude. Josh says, never startle a vet. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. They have to explain to my family not to startle me. Josh has his own mental health issues that he's dealing with, and it's not easy for him at all. So, Josh, we love you, buddy. Hang in there. We know that the family has understanding of the situation, and then that's the key thing. They know what can trigger you, and they know what you are dealing with, so they can create a lifestyle around it in the home that is conducive to making sure that you stay as healthy as possible. Right?
Yeah.
And Daniel says, love you both. Thank you. Love you too, Danielle. So suicide is depressing for people, but I don't care. We got to talk about it. It doesn't have to be depressing. It can actually be an uplifting conversation because we could discuss why we feel the way we feel and how we get to the point where we don't want to deal with it anymore. If we have those conversations, then we can find a common ground too. Like Leanne said, people feel so alone and isolated, they carry out the act because they think the feelings they have are so unique to them. And that's what suicide is really about. It's about having conversations and communicating. We could prevent more suicides if we get the discussions going. Mm-hmm. Suicide is the last resort.
Yeah. Yeah, right? It's not one of those things that people are just like, they wake up in the morning and they're having a bad day and then they just decide, that's it, I'm doing it.
Right.
It's a process that you get to that point. So if people are like, oh, I didn't even know, like all of a sudden he must have just, no, he didn't must have just, he or her or she was
you probably didn't know them.
What's that? Right. You didn't ask how they were doing. you weren't watching things change. You weren't watching, and there's like some people you'll have where you'll know something's going on, it's changing, you'll want to talk because it's like it's a drastic thing, but a lot of the times it's not. And it's not the people that are just being reclusive. They're not staying. They're putting on the good face and they're going out and they're still doing the things and everything. So you need to be checking in. There's on the Canadian Mental Health Association website, there's a really good little video. It's 30 seconds. I posted it. If you guys go over to our Facebook on our support page, there's just like a fun little group that we've got started there. And I put it on there. And it's a really good video just showing how one conversation, one phone call can change everything, because nobody wants to take their life. Nobody wants to end it. Nobody. They get to a point that that is the only solution, that they think that is the only solution, but they have tried everything else. And they've tried to stay away from people. They've tried to do this. They've tried to protect themselves. But
Well,
they
maybe
never.
they haven't, though. That it's not necessarily true, though.
Well, people think that staying away from people are going to help it. It's not helping, but they're trying. What I'm saying is that they're trying to do what they can. But I don't think, I've never heard one story about somebody that has attempted suicide, that it was just they woke up in the morning and they just decided that like they had a bad morning, and so that afternoon they attempted it. It's a progressive thing that they get to their end. So that's why I'm saying, like, I think it's so important that we reach out to everybody. It doesn't take a lot. And you don't have to reach out to people and be like, hey, I'm just checking up on you. I just heard a podcast about suicide. I want to make sure you're okay. Just literally saying hello to people, saying, how are you doing? And waiting for the answer. That's simple. Like waiting for the answer and letting people know that they're heard and letting people know that they're acknowledged. Even strangers, you don't know who you're changing their life just by acknowledging somebody. Like these things are very simple.
Yeah, it's
not always simple, right?
It's not what's wrong. It's what happened. Remember?
Yes. Yes.
This is our new phrase, too. We're trying to focus on this. We're not going to ask you guys what's wrong. Don't ask anybody what's wrong ever again. Ask them what happened.
Yeah.
It's a really good way to just twist that a little bit so people feel more comfortable.
Yes.
Good old Ed says, I have no idea if suicidal risk ever goes away. I've attempted more than a dozen times. I never felt better, but I'm never going to believe my risk is over. I will keep doing my self-care routine until I'm no longer on this earth. One of my best routines is to be of service to others to get out of my head.
I love that.
A dozen times. Ed, man, we're so glad that didn't work out. I couldn't be happier about that. Really. But the risk, it's always going to be there for him. Mm-hmm. He's talked about it. Mm-hmm. But if he minimizes it by finding behavioral methods that are positive for him, make him feel more connected to humanity, make him feel better about himself, like giving his time and energy to others. Mm-hmm. That's great, Ed. That's really great.
Beautiful.
We love you, Ed. We really do. We really do. Josh says, if anyone feels that you can't keep going, try to really focus on things to keep you going. The thought of affecting my kids is what has brought me back from the edge many times. Yes.
Beautiful. Yes.
Doesn't always, people, unfortunately, Josh, that's a great point, and I'm really glad that it's helpful for you, and I appreciate you sharing like this. It's wonderful. Couldn't be more happy about the fact we're having an open, honest conversation. You guys are really bringing some stuff here that people wouldn't normally share, and that's the whole point of the show, is to get us to share openly and honestly about it, right, Leanne?
Yes. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you.
The only thing I'll say to that is, unfortunately, there's a lot of mothers and fathers who have taken their own lives. So sometimes that's not enough. But maybe the problem is, too, is it could have been, these are all vague examples, so you never know what's going on with somebody. It's just, there is always a purpose, Josh. And I think having that focus makes a lot of sense. It probably could help a lot of people.
Yes, I agree.
Josh says, Mike, this is true, but many people feel they're out of options. You were referring to what I said to Leanne. Yeah, it's true. They might feel they are out of options, but there could be more options that we could bring to the table to help people if they, because you're never truly out of options. They might feel they're out of options. That I agree with, but you're never, I don't believe when it comes to suicide, you're truly out of options unless you've, I don't know. Maybe there's an example where somebody they went to every counselor. They tried every medicine in the world, and then finally still wasn't enough. And there are extreme cases out there where medicine doesn't work. So, antidepressants, they don't work, and people still take their own lives.
I still think that there is never, you never run out of the options though, because you've never seen everybody. You've never tried everything. You've never done everything. So if it means that you have to, for the rest of your life, keep trying to find the person to help you, then just by doing that, you're prolonging your life. And eventually what I'm really liking is, and I don't know where I'm seeing this. Where am I seeing this? Probably on
Where are you seeing
Facebook? I don't know, but I'm seeing these ads that are out right now. Maybe Instagram. I don't know where I'm seeing them, but anyway, they're beautiful ads that are going on and saying how many times they attempted or how old they were when they first attempted, how old they were when they last attempted, and then how long ago it was that they met their wife, how long ago it was that they had their child, how long ago it was. And it's a really nice, not to say that like having a relationship or having a child is the answer, but
Yeah.
what they're trying to get across is in the time that they made the attempt and the time that they made their last attempt, all that whole time, they don't think that there's a future. And then now that they have, succeeded by not succeeding like Ed, now they have this whole new life that never would have happened if they would have succeeded in doing that. So it's just I think it's a really nice take on it. So you can it gives you hope that there's a whole different world ahead of you.
We can't predict the future. We have no idea what will be a part of our next experience. You may think you do. I know I don't. Hey, tomorrow maybe I'll meet someone really cool and my life will change forever. I don't know. It could happen. It's also possible it might not happen, but I don't know. I can't wait to find out.
Yes.
I love Mondays. Don't you?
Yes, they're my favorite day.
All right, you're listening to the First Day Podcast. We're live on the air. I'm Michael Govier. She's Leanne. Hello. This is the First Day Podcast. We're talking about suicide prevention. It was Suicide Prevention Awareness Day on Friday. And I don't know if it's the month or not, but it was that day anyways.
It is the month of September.
It is the month. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ed says, another self-care habit is to listen to this podcast and be part of the book club. That's right, book club every Monday night, guys, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right here, look at this. I got it.
Yay!
It's my very own copy. We're currently doing this book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Yes.
Look at that. And we're on chapter 8. So,
are we?
9?
I can't remember. I don't know
what chapter we're on. I lied.
I think it's 8 and 9.
That's 8, 9. Yeah, so I was right. Okay.
Yeah.
This book is real, and we do it 1 hour on Zoom. We can give you the link. If you want to be a part of the book club, we do a new book every so often. Whenever we finish the last one, we have a list of books that we're doing. It's all nonfiction. It's all like improvement and powers. It's about wisdom, gaining knowledge and wisdom of other people's ideas of how to live on this planet. That's what most of the books are that we focus on. So join us if you want to be a part of it. You can DM us on your favorite social media platform or firstdaypod@gmail.com. And Ed says, I'm glad you both know how much I love you both. Thank you, Ed. You're a sweet man. Look at this.
You, Ed.
Davos with a big comment here. All right, Davos, here we go. Our main person on Twitch, Davos says, my wife was an emergency call taker. Oh, wow, like 911. One day, a call came in describing a disturbed family member describing how their adult son was not breathing, unconscious. However, the family could not confirm what had happened. Based on their inputs, she could feel it could be a suicide attempt. Firemen and ambulance were quickly dispatched. Her quick decision saved the person's life. He had tried to hang himself. Family was avoiding confirmation out of the shame that it would bring. At least they called. Wow. That's a real story. Thank you, Davos. Thank you so much. The shame. We're not going to call 911 because we're ashamed. That's the world we live in right now.
Thank God they did. My God.
Glad your wife did that. Good Lord.
Yes, please thank your wife.
This is a textbook, Leanne. This is exactly what we're talking about. This type of stigma, it just paralyzes people. People really, say what you will, people really care about what other people think in this world. And especially if you're part of a community or neighbors, you have a family, the more isolated you are, you might not care as much because you might just be more alone, and that's the lifestyle you've chosen, and you don't care. That's true. But the more you have children and an extended family, a business, you go see the regular dentist and the same type of people in your neighborhoods or your community over the year, if something like this comes out, oh my God, we have a son, we have a daughter that tried to kill themselves. We can't let people know about this. We'll be shrouded in shame forever.
Can I just put like a little thing in there that maybe we're not thinking about? That, yeah, there's shame that they tried, but guess what? They're going to find out if they succeed. So talk to your family. Like the attempts of suicide, there's just so many, like they said, 25 attempts are happening every time that there's a suicide. Like that correlation. So thank God people are not good at it. Thank God they're just like, don't know what they're doing, or they're just, it's whatever. Thank God that's not a reverse number. So the shame is just absolutely ridiculous. And that is coming from because these conversations aren't happening. And it's just, I don't know. I get very, very upset when I think about all of this. And like I said before, whenever I was struggling with anything, I was one of those people that was like, I looked up numbers of people to talk to, and I was like really stressed and I needed to talk to somebody. But then I was like, oh God, everywhere that I would go is on a busy street, or it's across the street from a grocery store where who would see me? And so instead you just don't talk about it. Like it's just bonkers. It's like cutting your hand off while you're cooking and then being like, God, that would be embarrassing if everybody knew about that. And then just like wrapping it up and being done, like not doing it, not going to the hospital, because that would be so embarrassing.
Yeah.
So shameful if people knew that I made a mistake. No.
Silence is not strength, by the way.
No, it is not at all. So dumb.
We got to remember that. Yes. But we're not coming down on people who, it's okay to feel the way you feel. If you have if you feel the stigma, if you feel the shame, that's okay. This is what everybody's feeling. Look at the story Davos just told as an example. We've had other stories that Ed told, and there's a billion stories online. If you're looking for help with suicide anyway, don't forget there's a lot of options, resources like the Suicide Prevention Hotline. They're always available 24 hours a day. 1-800-273-8255. 1-800-273-8255.
That's for the United States. For Canada, I think, right? I don't know that you'd. Anyway, for Canada, we have
800
one.
number. Do they have telephones in Canada?
We don't. No.
I knew it. See?
Yes.
Even though
the
Alexander
exchange
Graham
rate.
Bell did not invent the telephone either, by the way. So
What?
that has nothing to do with anything. I don't know why I said that. I'm sorry.
Okay, I missed part of it, but
Yeah.
I gotta pay attention more when you're talking. So for Canada, our suicide prevention service is available 24/7 as well. It's 833-456-4566. And from 4 p.m. till midnight Eastern time, you can also do their texting line. So you can text them at 45645, which is pretty cool.
Or the crisis text line is always open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Awesome.
That's a great place. And it's a crisis text line. So suicide, very much a crisis. You are more than welcome to text. It's only text, though. You don't have to talk to anyone. If you're shy,
so awesome.
if you feel ashamed, if you those feelings are legitimate because our society has created this environment. So accept the shame, accept the stigma, because the society's created it. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
It's not our fault. It's just happened over decades together because people lived in hushed tones because of proper society, and civilization says it's best if we don't talk. However that got started hundreds of years ago, I don't know. Silent strength was all mistaken. And now we have to undo centuries of errors. That's what we're trying to do here. This is what we're up against right now.
Mm-hmm. And I really appreciate you, Mike, bringing that up, that if you are having shame about it, or if you are feeling like, oh God, they're judging me, we are totally, absolutely 100% not judging you, not judging your family members, we're judging society as a whole, and not as the people in it, but of the culture that we grew up in. That's it. I'm not judging you at all. So thank you so much, Mike, for bringing that up.
Of course. Yeah. It's very, 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 very important that we recognize that we didn't make society the way it is. You, me, Leanne, all of us together on the internet at one time. It's not our fault, but we are stuck in it, and we've got to figure out a way to deal with it. Josh says the VA has vets set up a safety plan, which is what I talked about with Danielle when she was on the show, her own personal suicide prevention plan, because she knew how depressed she would get. And eventually she figured out, I got to have a plan in place here so I can prevent myself from getting to that point where I'm going to take my own life. She really has that. It wrote it down and everything. These are real things. Suicide prevention plans are very real. Yeah. Right, Leanne? Remember that?
Super. Yeah. That was so it was mind blowing, but it was so simple, and it's so important. And it wasn't not just like, okay, I have to call 911, because she knew she wouldn't call 911. Like, she knew that there were certain things that depending on how she was feeling, she may not do these things, even though she knew what she needed to do. So she had contingencies on it, it's fabulous for you to kind of think through that. And you can set it up. I think we should all have that. And I said that on the show, and then I never made one. And I think that is really, really important to think, okay, you know what? If I do feel that way, what can I do? And kind of like what Ed is talking about, the self-care that he can do every day to get him in the right mindset. That's a first step. It's so layered. That's a first step to make sure you're doing that. But then realize, okay, if I don't do that and I start slipping, then what does that look like, and what can I do? And then if I'm feeling a certain way, what can I do? And having all of that will grow as you're going through it as well, because right now, listening to this, you might be like, oh, I don't really need it. I'll just write down. And I'd like everybody to do that. Write down on a piece of paper, have a piece of paper. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, and just
do it.
Suicide prevention plan. Great.
Do it.
Put it in. And right now, just say, call my mother, call my whatever, call Mike Govey, whatever it is. Just put something on there that this is what you would do.
734-489-3224.
I love you. Put something on it that you think you would do. Then if, God forbid, it happens that you are feeling that way and you look at it and you're like, I wouldn't do that, make a note about it. Be like, okay, well, I won't do that. So what can I do? And that's kind of like, I think was it Josh that was saying, just being aware of it and what triggers you and how you're feeling about it. So then you can be aware of it and then tell people around you. Like when Josh was talking about, don't startle me, because if you startle me, will put me back in there.
Yes.
Tell people, if I say that I'm not going to go out with you and I said that I was going to, that's me shying away because I'm having anxiety and I'm probably not good and I'm probably crying in my bed. So please just don't let me do that, or come and check on me, or check on me the next day, or whatever. We need to have those. We need to be talking about it. So, God.
Yes, we do. God, what? What did I do?
Nothing. I'm so grateful that we're having this conversation. And I am so grateful that our comments are filled with people that are just so loving and caring because they're sharing all of this because they want to help all of us. Like, there's people out there. So you're not
Yeah.
alone. You're just not. And I know that's a
Don't forget. Yeah.
saying, but it's true.
It's a cliche, but it's true because it's a cliche. A lot of cliches are true. Most cliches are true. You are not alone. We're literally on this earth together. Also, if someone does take their life, don't beat yourself up over it.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing you could do sometimes. You tried. Even if you could have done everything you think you could do, you're just going to drive yourself crazy inside here. You're going to hurt your mind a lot. So if someone you cared about took their own life, it's very painful. It's very sad, but try not to make it about yourself, okay?
Yes.
And sometimes we have a tendency to do that. And some people don't want to hear that, but it is ego-driven at times. And it's important that we don't make everything about our feelings or project ourselves into situations. That's all. So,
That's a really great point.
to finish saying this, personally, Josh says that video games, listening to music works for him, but everyone is different to what their distractions are. Implement into a safety plan. So distractions are good. A safety plan, more importantly, should have communication involved. That's what Danielle had someone written down to contact immediately. That was, I got to contact this person right away. We've got to have a conversation. Even if it was a suicide prevention hotline, that's fine. Mm-hmm. That's a start. Ed says, I am not sure if I can explain this properly. At one time, I was hopeless and numb from the world. The best I could do was just to exist. However, I reached out for help and continue to make my mental well-being a priority. Yesterday, I went on a walk with a friend, and I just noticed how beautiful and breathtaking life is. Walking by the Toronto Lakeshore, we've been there. We love it. I saw the beauty of the water with the backdrop of the CN Tower. Damn it, we didn't get to go there, but we will. Tall office buildings and condos. Seeing kids enjoying the weather. And is that it, Ed?
It's coming. He's still writing. Push enter, Ed.
Anyways, Ed makes a great point. Another wonderful and thought out point.
Mm-hmm.
You reach out for help.
Yes.
You see what this says here? I reach out for help, and I continue to make my mental well-being a priority. See, those two phrases are very important, Leanne.
Yes.
Are they not?
They're huge. And Josh said, I thought I read it, that he was saying, the book club might be a distraction. And it's true. It could be a distraction, and that's great. But it's also going to be, because we do read they're all different books, but they're all the same. It's the same kind of message. And it's all...
No.
Yeah.
It'd be boring. You're not selling the book club very well if you say that.
No, I am. You know what? This is just the truth of the matter. We were not born with a guideline of how to be a human and work with our brain. We just were not. So
Where's
we have
my brain guidebook?
I know, and our emotions and everything. We have no idea. So we go through all this and then we think that we're supposed to understand it. We don't. That's why these books are so important, because we're learning. We read 2 books, I think, on maybe 3, on being in the moment. That's it. Mm-hmm. That is such an easy message. We should just be born with that it's, breaking the habit of being yourself. Come on. We shouldn't even have, we should understand. Should is such a bad word, but we should understand that we should live in the moment, that's the only thing that we have. But,
love yourself, guys. Love yourselves. Look, here's an example. Love isn't something you find. Love is something that finds you.
Oh,
see? Cute. It's a great book, by the way. Leanne got me this for my birthday. I love you so much, Leanne. Every day I get a new message. It's so much fun. Davos is checking in. He says, Davos, are you here? He said, I don't know. I think he's a he. I think he said he was a he. Davos, the Recovery Village talks of using ALGEE method. ALGEE method as a first aid for suicidal thoughts and behaviors. Number 1, assess for risk of suicide or bodily harm. Yes. Number 2, listen in a non-judgmental way. That's what they do at the crisis text line. We're taught to do that. Listen in a non-judgmental way. Number 3, give reassurance and information. 4, encourage appropriate professional help. And 5, encourage self-help and other support strategies. So that's the ALGEE method. I've never heard of it, but all of that sounds terribly, terribly familiar to me as a counselor in training right now. But that's the strategy. Let's do it again. Assess for risk. Listen in a non-judgmental way. Give reassurance. Encourage them to get help professionally. And then encourage self-help, self-care methods, and other support strategies like listening to the First Aid podcast. Right, Leanne?
Yeah. I love that. And it is totally in the importance level. Like, obviously you first have to make sure, but the listening and the giving assurance, that's the whole thing. Nobody feels like they're being heard. Nobody. And that's the biggest issue. That's why people are so loud and mean and commenting on everything and giving bad reviews, because they're not being heard in their real life. So they're just getting on and doing, if we were heard and we were loved and we were not feeling judged, that we would have such a what? Oh, he never listens to me, people.
Yeah, so we're not listening. We're not going to help anybody if we're not listening.
Anyway, that was beautiful. Davos, thank you so much. Also, if you're getting annoyed that we're not sure exactly how to say your name, please feel free to put what you would like us to call you.
I think
Devo or Devos.
He's commenting passionately with great.
He's wonderful, or she's wonderful.
Amazing. Davos has laid out a plan. ALGEE. Did you Google it?
What? I can't do two things at once right now, but I am going to put it on.
That was a joke.
I am going to put it on our support so people know. That's beautiful.
I love you. The acronym ALGEE, which participants use as a tool for providing mental health first aid. So we already know that though. So LG in action, helping a friend in need. ALGEE, guys. So make sure we're trying to use that. It's anxiety. Be the difference. Wait, no, this is not what it is it? Oh, never mind. I lied. I thought I had it for a second. It doesn't matter what the acronym is.
Yeah, it's assess, listen, give, encourage.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Laid it out. Yeah.
Well done. And don't forget, guys, listening in a non-judgmental way is why people go to therapy in the first place, because we love our friends, we love our loved ones, our wives, our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, all of our parents, our cousins, but we feel we're going to be judged because they know us, and it's uncomfortable. That's why therapists exist, because supposedly it's an arbitrary middle ground where they just listen to you and respond in a non-judgmental way. Very important, right, Leanne?
Yes. And you know why I think a lot of people do judge other people? Because they see themselves in them. So think about that for a second. If you tell somebody that you're going through suicidal thoughts, or you tell somebody that you're not feeling quote unquote strong mentally or whatever, and you're getting judged, it's because they're projecting and they know that they've gone through that, and they're just going to try to get you to think something else, or they're going to be judgy because they're judging themselves. But people are they can listen non-judgmental if it doesn't affect them. If it's something that's that they haven't gone through, then they can listen to it and not put any of their emotional backing into it because it hasn't affected them. So if people are judging you, it's most likely they have that in the closet that they're just not talking about. So, and that's why therapists are able to and trained to, because they hear it all the time. So they know that they're not judging you because they know you're human. That's why you're going through what you're going through. That's why you're talking. If anything, they're probably looking at you like, man, this is one strong human being. To be able to talk about this and be able to articulate it, that's amazing.
I also mentioned antidepressants earlier, that they don't always work for people. Sometimes antidepressants can actually cause suicidal ideation. It's been shown in several different pills, and although the studies are still not universally conclusive as far as I know, it's real. It's personally been experienced. In fact, Chris Cornell, the beautiful singer of Soundgarden, legendary singer, he took his own life, unfortunately, here in Detroit when they were on tour. He played a show that night in downtown Detroit, and he died later on that evening. And his wife was convinced it was because of the medication he was on. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's always something to look into. And they do make warnings about it, usually being in like the first month, because antidepressants take a time to kind of kick in to get your body where it needs to be, to get used to your body, also your brain chemistry, your neurotransmitters, all that stuff. So just something to think about if you're on or you've ever considered antidepressants. Be wary of possible side effects. And I'm sure your doctor would tell you these things too, hopefully. But yeah. Ed is continuing with this beautiful soliloquy about all the wonderful things that he acknowledged in the world that gave him another opportunity to be grateful for being alive today. It's beautiful, Ed. It really is. He feels peaceful and sheer joy. 2 years ago, he never thought that was possible. That's what he says. 2 years ago, he never thought that was possible, guys. And now here he is. He's sharing information with us, helping others. Ed is a guy to admire. He really is. Josh says, many times people judge and downplay the help someone might need and think a person is exaggerating how bad they feel. Yeah, there's a lot of like a hush, hush, shush, shush, shush now, or it's not that bad. That's never a good way to deal with anything, in my opinion. We should acknowledge every complaint, frustration, fear, anxiety-ridden moments that a person is offering to share with you. If someone's sharing something with you in the first place, that's already a big step. So you probably shouldn't just dismiss it entirely and be like, okay, well, who cares? Or, it's not that big a deal. Chill out, go to bed, you'll be fine in the morning. Don't do that. Please.
You know what? Another thing that, and I've done this. Another thing that we do is, yeah, I know I felt that way before. You'll get over it. Like, because you're trying to make like it, like, oh, I've been there. You'll get through it. So you think that you're doing something nice, but you're not, just by saying, oh yeah, I've been there. Oh yeah, this is what I did. And yes, help them if you've gone through something and it's helped you. But just saying, yeah, we've all been there. No, it's not good enough.
Commentary.
Go ahead.
No, it has good intentions, but it's not ideal.
It's not ideal. It's not ideal unless it's saying I have gone through suicide attempts and this is what has happened. Then that's different than saying, yeah, I was stressed out at work too.
No, that's more specific instead of a general like, oh yeah, well I've been there, man.
We all have bad days.
Yeah, hey, you got dealt a bad hand, man. That's all right. Try again tomorrow. Get a new deck. Tammy's here. Hi, Tammy.
Hi, Tammy.
Says her daughter has been on antidepressants for over a month and has helped her tremendously. Her depression is caused by a neurochemical imbalance, neurotransmitter deficiency. Yep. So that's great, Tammy. That's a positive story. I know a lot of people, antidepressants have really helped them out. So.
That's very good to hear.
Yes. Here's Devos with some common myths about suicide. This is great. Devos, you should do your own show. This stuff is incredible. Really
we should have you on the show.
Oh my God.
If you want to DM us, we would love to have you on the show.
Yeah, we'd love to get to know you, Devos. Find out who the real Devos is. Devos says, common myths about suicide. Number 1, people who talk about suicide won't really do it. That's a myth. Number 2, anyone who tries to kill themselves must be crazy. Myth. Number 3, if someone is determined to kill themselves, nothing is going to stop them. Myth. Number 4, people who die by suicide are people who are unwilling to seek help. Massive myth. And number 5, talking about suicide may give someone this idea. That's a myth. Oh, Nelly. Oh my God. I've just, my life's been going, it's been going for months and someone just told me about suicide today. And I thought, wow, that's an idea. Yeah, that's ridiculous. So glad you brought this up, Devos. Thank you so much. These are all quite accurate in the fact that they're inaccurate.
They're all cop-outs is what they are. Oh, I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to make people think about it. That's garbage.
Yeah. If someone ever tries to push that on you, like, hey, we shouldn't be talking about suicide because someone's going to hear this and they might kill themselves. Don't let people do that to you. You're actually changing the world for the better. The people that want to keep it hush-hush, either they don't know better or they're just making a mistake and they're wrong. They're wrong. So that's really beautiful. That was great stuff, Devos. Thank you so much. Those are myths, and you guys need to know what they are. So if you have any more questions, Google's really good about all their suicide posts that come up right away. It's all the information you'd ever need comes up instantly on Google. You can always email us, firstdaydpod@gmail.com. Any questions? We're not professionals, but we do care. And sometimes you just need an ear. You need someone that'll listen to start. And it's not even an ear. Maybe it's just an email. It doesn't have to be a phone call. It could be a text. It could be an email. It could be a video chat. It could be an in-person sit-down. Whatever it is. You need a hug. Maybe you need more than a hug. Maybe you need someone to listen in a non-judgmental way. I think it's one key thing we should take away from this episode, Leanne.
Yeah, that's huge.
Because it's good for our lives overall. We should all be listening in a non-judgmental way.
Mm-hmm. I have a girlfriend that she calls me, and she's got a very big social network. She's just wonderful. Like you would just think that she was able to talk to anybody. She's very close with her family. She's everything. And when she's really having a hard time, she always calls me, and then she ends with, God, you're the only person in my life that I know that I can say anything that I'm going through and you're not going to judge me. And it's just true. Like there's no reason why we should be judging anybody, because you don't know what they've been going through. And hell, we know that we've been going through stuff. So like if we don't want to be judged, why are we judging other people?
That's what humans do best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. What does this say?
Devo says we need to talk about suicide prevention volunteering. This is as important as talking about suicide prevention itself.
Beautiful.
You know, Devos, I've started volunteering with the crisis text line in 2019. They help people with they help for everything, but suicide is very much a crisis that comes up all the time on the crisis text line. And anybody can sign up for that. You can go to thecrisistextline.org and check out how to sign up and be a volunteer. You don't have to talk to anyone. You could be at home on your computer. You don't have to use your actual phone. You actually get the text through your computer. So you don't have to be like on your smartphone the whole time.
Nice.
So if you want to help, they're very good about training you. It does take like a month. You have to take like one course just to make sure that you can properly, you have to learn how to, what we just talked about, respond in a non-judgmental way. They won't let you just show up and start doing it. You have to be able to do that and show that you can do that.
That's beautiful.
So thank you, Davis. Yes. And there's many other ways. If you guys want to get involved, help people, the suicide prevention hotline, there's more. There's local places here around your area. Depending on where you live, you can help. You can make a difference. Right, Leanne?
Absolutely. 100%. Hey, I want to, Josh says, don't be afraid to reach out and talk about your mental health. Amen, brother. My gosh. Even if it seems scary. Yes. Yes, that's absolutely right. 100%. And you guys, on our support on our Facebook, even if you want to, I don't know if I set this up. Leave it with me. But I just found out that I may have to change the group into another type of group, but leave it with me. In the next week, we are going to be able to, I'm going to make this happen. I know that it's possible that you can comment and you can leave a discussion anonymously. So the disclaimer is, we will know. Mike and I will know who did it, because we have to. Because if you're bullying somebody else, we have to be able to know that we have to kick you out, because that's just mean. But Mike and I will be the only ones that will know. Anybody else that's in the group will not know that you made that comment. So that might be a really nice way that you guys can just say, hey guys, what do you guys think about this? Or I'm feeling this way, or whatever the case may be. And we can have a conversation around it. And nobody will know that you're the one that started that conversation. So I am going to work on that this week. And by next week, you will see it. I know that we are already done, but I just want to read something super, super quick. It was from the Canadian Mental Health Association, and it was what to look for if you're not sure. Some of the more like obvious ones are that people are talking or they're threatening to harm themselves, obviously. And that's that myth No, they're talking about it. They may do it. Looking for a way to kill oneself. So looking it up online, talking about it, whatever, talking or writing about death, dying, or suicide. So even though journaling or doing the poetry or the music about it, and you think, oh, that's good, they're releasing something, but maybe not quick enough. So then it says, these are less obvious signs that could mean someone is at risk. So increased substance use, whether that's drugs or alcohol, feelings of helplessness or hopelessness, no sense of purpose, just like you were saying, Josh, anxiety, agitation, or uncontrolled anger, unable to sleep or sleeping all the time, one or the other, feelings of being trapped, like there's no way out, withdrawal from friends, family, and society, acting reckless or engaging in risky activities, seemingly without thinking, and then dramatic mood changes. So I'm going to list those 2 in our group. The only reason why I want to end with that is because I want us to be aware, not only in our friends, not only in our family, but in ourselves. So if we're starting to feel these types of things, then be aware of it. Reach out to somebody, talk to somebody. It does not mean that it's going to lead to suicide. If you're feeling anxious or agitated, it doesn't mean that, oh, shoot, it's coming. But it is a good indication that something's going on, that you need to just talk to somebody about it. And that's okay. You know, it's like having a little bit of a fever, and that's okay to do something about it before you're actually like full blown, right? So it's the same thing. Mental health is just it's the same as our physical health. When you see little signs, do something about it. Talk to somebody. So we love you guys very, very, very much. Thank you so much for everybody that was here and commenting. It's so important. Go ahead, Mike.
Beautiful, Leanne. Well done, Leanne. Great job. Yay!
Okay, thank you, Mike. Go ahead.
That was really good. That was important stuff. You guys absorb that. Play it back. You can listen to this and watch this anytime you want to. The YouTube channel, subscribe. Share it with your friends. First Day Pod. If we can get to 100 subscribers, we can rename our online handle, and then we can access more people. So if you would share the YouTube page, subscribe to it, and share it with your friends, your loved ones, that would really help us out so much. Thank you to both of you, says Devos, for talking on this topic. And everyone who has commented today brings value to anyone who might watch us in the future and might think of seeking help and save themselves or somebody else. Beautiful, Devos. That's really lovely. Ed says, I don't want to be defending antidepressants. I often see that they are not appropriately described or dosed, but a bigger problem is that these medications, more times than not, can help on their own, whether it's therapy, meetings, meditation, etc. Okay, yep. Thank you, Ed. And Josh says, it's like doing preventative maintenance on your car, but on your body.
Yes.
Beautiful. Great
that is
job.
Amazing.
Really thoughtful and clear-cut breakdowns from all of you guys today. Josh, Devos, Ed, Tammy, everybody who participated today. We want to thank you so much. Suicide prevention is very important. We need to have an honest conversation with each other about suicide all the time, anytime. Don't be shy about it. Don't let the society and the culture we've created bring you down and shroud you in mystery. Oh, let's open up. Let's open up. I'm going to open up. I'll talk about it anytime you want to. Leanne will talk about it. We love you guys. firstdaypod@gmail.com. Until next time, thank you.
Bye.
We love you guys.
Love you.